Hey, so I've been all over the place lately, kind of barely fit for human interaction because it's that part of the process where a lot of the filters are gone and a lot of the coping mechanisms are gone. And so when things want to come through, they come through however they want to come through for as long as they want to come through. And there's not much I can do about it other than try to be with it as much as I can, accept it and love it, whatever comes through as much as I can. And, sometimes that's easier than others, especially when there's um, a lot of obligations or social interaction. And yeah, this is the part where it'd be really nice to live in a cave for like a year. Because apparently it can go on for months or even years, just as your identity structure, what's left of it, all the old stuff. I've done all this shadow work that I kind of had to work at it for a long time, a few years. And now it's more like it just happens. It just happens by itself, and I'm just along for the ride. I'm not really reaching for anything, and and trying not to push anything away either because that's not really useful either. Um, but yeah, when people ask me like, "Hey, what have you been up to lately?" It's like, "Oh, just dying." Uh, just all the structures that keep me tethered to anything but the present moment are slowly dissolving, and it's quite painful sometimes. It's taken a lot of energy, a lot of bandwidth. And you can't really say that to people. So it's more just like, I just make something up. Um, and of course, I ground myself we have a beautiful spider living, an orb weaver living in our bushes. We have a bunch of swallowtail caterpillars who are, there's four that I know where their chrysalises are. It'd be fun to watch that unfold. Um, yeah, just being near nature and the earth is always good. Um, Occasional small amounts of plant medicine, occasional large amounts of plant medicine, but um, not in a while actually. But it can morph things a little bit, such that it's easier to I don't know that the what it seems to do to me mostly is just kind of like whatever's sort of grasping in the brain, it just kind of takes the claws out a little bit, and then it makes it a little bit easier to sometimes to feel and sometimes understand what's going on. I don't always understand what's going on. I don't always understand what's moving through. I don't really care. It's like purging an old closet or something. It's like, do I really want to sift through every single thing? Um, I don't really want to spend my good time right now taking some strong inventory of every time I was contracted in my life. I'm grateful it's doing itself now. And by the way, Suzanne Chang's videos have been quite helpful through this phase. Um, I just kind of follow my nose, click around what seems maybe relevant, and often it's quite relevant. So I recommend that. Um, yeah, I spend some time just like lying on my bed, feeling like a Victorian wastrel on my fainting couch, feeling my feelings, which is very countercultural, actually. Like, our culture is very much If you're not useful to somebody else all the time, then you're useless. You're worthless. Um, and I do the dishes. I clean the house. Stuff gets done. Um, but yeah, time I might spend doing something else is just kind of in this weird space of slowly evaporating, slowly off gassing. And it can be quite unpleasant and it can be almost blissful. And it can be hard to tell the difference. It's almost like thoughts might color it one way or the other, but I don't actually know what it is. And yeah, in our capitalist Calvinist society, we don't really have initiations where we're allowed to see our inherent worth um, as a valid part of the cosmos, like unconditionally. Like we don't have to earn our existence. We already exist, and we're not allowed. I mean, it's very countercultural to say that. To say no, I can just exist. I can be, and that can be enough. Sometimes, still got to do the dishes. Still got to, and so on. Take the car in to get repaired. This and that it happens, but that's not what measures my worth, actually. I think a lot of people are going through something similar, just because the pace of awakening is accelerating so much. You don't need to go to a monastery. You don't need to go to a master. You go to YouTube, you know, and it's all there if you're willing to follow your instincts and go through it. And a lot of householders probably, especially in the West, are in this weird place of like, can I just sit here and unbind? Is that okay? And I think part of the whole thing is that we're being called to find our inherent worth, and by extension, the inherent worth of everyone and everything, which also makes it harder to cling to any perspective or identity as if one is inherently superior, which is tough in an age when so many things are happening that don't seem right. But, I'm in dialogue with people who have very different views than I am, who have very different views than I do. And it's astonishing, both the apparently genuine wish to connect and understand each other, and also the absolute silos of information where nothing can penetrate because they don't trust anything other than their own sources. And I can't fix that. I can't make anybody see anything. Can't make anybody believe anything. And that that can bring up a lot of shadow, a lot of because not feeling seen as a kid, not being able to get my mom to see me as a human. Um, I feel like it really pokes at that old wound, and so that shadow comes up, and it's a rough one. It feels like a big choking cloud that makes you just want to punch someone and force them to see what you see. And it's all the more frustrating because it's not going to do any good even if you do. And that's how things are. I can't change it. But do I regret that any of this is happening? No. I mean, I can't. It's like I have no choice about this any more than I have any choice about growing older, or any choice about like in my life, going through puberty and then, going through menopause and then like old age, sickness, and death. Like this feels as inherent in my system as those things, and trying to fight it at this point. I mean, yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. And just generally speaking, it doesn't make sense. It makes less and less sense to want to be anywhere else, doing anything else, feeling anything else, because this is what's here. And that alone, when you can manage to be in that space, takes a lot of suffering out, because so much of suffering is, if only, you know, if only it wasn't like this, if only it was like that, if only I had this, if only I didn't have that. There's none of that when you're in that space, because I mean it's counterfactual. I think it's not here. It doesn't exist. There's no alternative timeline or alternate universe that I can access. Like this is it. And I cannot manage it. Cannot manage the universe, It's not possible, and it's not apparently what I'm here for. Yeah, there can be thoughts, guilt, shoulds, fears, even if I consciously don't care. It kind of sticks around. I mean, I guess that's kind of what's burning off, what's off-gassing. And yeah, I can feel like these choking clouds of helpless pain and fury. It can feel like electricity running through my guts. It can feel like dread. What does dread feel like in the body? Like these elongated tendrils. Pretty linear. Kind of along the middle or the back of the body. So middle of sides. Anyway, yeah, and when it's really bad, it's not like I can even watch TV or movies, because it's just trying to distract myself. It's just painful the whole time, so it doesn't really do much. Um, but yeah, I mean, it can be months of this or more, and given that it's decades worth of stuff, it's understandable. Um, One recurring theme is a desire to escape. Um, like even take some drug and just not be in charge at all, just be swept away. Like let somebody else figure it out, let someone else lead. That can show up as a desire, and it occurs to me, and desires too. Like there's no point suppressing your desires. Like desire whatever you want to desire. Let the desire come through too. You don't necessarily get it. You don't necessarily do anything, but you can feel that desire. Oh, take me away, take me away. Um, and it's funny that this sort of volitionlessness is exactly how enlightenment is described, right? Um, but we can't get there by wishing or trying to escape. Um, doesn't even matter what drug we take. Like even if we go on the best trip of a lifetime, total ego death and bliss and whatever, it's like we're waiting there on the other side. It's a brief respite at best. apparently we can only escape by fully realizing there is no escape, by dying into exactly what is and letting go of all of our thoughts and plans about it. But we can't just do that either. It's like all of our old stuff has to burn off. Meanwhile, something like peace, equanimity, joy sometimes sneaks up behind me. Not a lot of grand explosions of bliss. It's more like a dawn breaking over the course of months. The light shifts so gradually, it's easy not to notice it. But compared to months ago, much less years ago, it's very clear what the difference is. And it very clearly seems to be going in the right direction. Even when, it's like there are times of relative peace and equanimity, even joy, and then there are times when I'm in the washing machine. And, it's funny that I used the term washing machine. Maybe somebody else, I don't know if I made it up or if I heard it somewhere, but I use it just because it's like a chaotic jumble, like, which way's up and down, what the, you know. But it seems like those cycles actually are cleaning us out in a way. Because it really puts things in our face that are patterns that aren't doing us any good. So like, for a while I was confused about like, who is even doing this? And confusion is fine. Confusion is another arising. Feel the confusion, let the confusion come. What's confusion like? What does it feel like? Where is it in the body? And my mind might say like, shut up with your psychobabble. I really don't know what's going on. And then something else says, okay, that's a thought. And then my mind says, who is saying that? Who's labeling it a thought? And then it's like, I'm breathing, I'm present, I'm feeling the confusion. And then it's like, no, you can't just sit there and feel something's wrong, something's bad. You need to go find it. And it's like, yeah, this mechanism. Because actually a video that Angela made a while back helped me to realize the extent to which every single time I check in with my system, there's a meta thought that jumps in first thing. Find the bad stuff. What's bad right now? I know there's bad stuff. Find it. And so that sort of like sets the tone of like, oh, there's a contraction. Oh, what's going on? Like, it finds, like, yeah, find some excuse to start going off on some like bad thoughts about what's in the body and what it must mean. And this was a coping mechanism from times when being like happy-go-lucky was perceived as dangerous and maladaptive in my environment. And this feels really old, really baked in. And what it is a mechanism for endless unhappiness. Even if at one point did it keep me safe? It kept me it was protective from abuse and punishment and bullying. Sometimes it didn't always work, but it did its best. But yeah, it was really nice to see so clearly that that's what happened. So yeah, my mind might go back to this mechanism, and it's like, you can't just sit here and feel something's wrong. This is all weird and alien, and you're lost in it. And it's like, oh, I'm lost. Who's lost? And then it says, you don't know anything. It's so dangerous. And then I think like, actually, my little brain, you don't know anything. You just like to make noise. I'm just sitting here breathing. And and feeling. And so often, even when I'm in the washing machine, sometimes I get carried away in the current or in the agitation. Um, Other times I can breathe and feel, and not fight the thoughts, but not grasp them either as something that has something important to say necessarily. I mean, thoughts can be useful, thoughts can be funny, thoughts are a great tool, and they can be a great tool. But if they think they're the master, then things go very wrong. I mean, they can take you for a ride to nowhere good, and it can be very compelling, especially when things get really intense in the body. But yeah, that's a little summary of what I've been up to lately.